is the most misinterpreted and the most disregarded part of a speech. You might have the best joke in the world. You might have the best stage presence. You might have the best humorous speech. You might have the best stand-up comedy act. You might be Barack Obama for all I care. But if your speech does not have a message, then it is not a speech. Okay? So one thing that speech writers and contestants most often miss out in the international speech contest is the message. If you're going to write your speech, first of all ask yourself, what is it that I'm going to write about? That is the first question that you have to ask yourself. And if you can't answer that question, you need to find the answer to that question. If you don't have the answer to that question, then you will not be able to write a speech. Even if you write a speech, that speech is not going to take you beyond club level unless you happen to be extremely lucky. And trust me, all the luck ended with me last year. Okay, I was lucky enough to get through. Alright? So, the luck ended last year. First thing is message, message, message. How do you decide on the message? Everyone has a story to tell. You decide what kind of story you want to tell. How should your audience feel once you have delivered your speech? What is it that you want them to do? Most of us don't answer this basic question. For example, today, when my session is over, I want you all to join Toastmasters, and new members, I don't know how, complete 2 levels somehow and participate in the international speech contest, because that is the eligibility criteria. That is what I want you to do. Or at least know that there is an international speech contest and be ready for it when it comes next year. Next year, it is happening in Paris. So it might be one of you sitting in this room would be going to Paris next year, or one of us would be going to Denver this year. Make sense? There are 4 stages in your speech, and it is a celebrated principle in training design, in instructional design. It's called the ARCS model. A stands for attention, R stands for relevance, C stands for confidence, S stands for satisfaction. You're first supposed to capture attention of your audience. You can do that in any number of ways. You can tell a joke right at the beginning. You can start with a quote. You can ask the audience a question. Anything that gets the audience to respond, anything that makes you have the attention of the audience. Then you have to establish relevance. And that is the fundamental principle of learning and development. Children will learn only when they are interested. Adults will learn only when they find it relevant. The most fundamental principle. You have to establish a WIIFM. What is WIIFM? What's in it for me? Why should I listen to your speech? Then, confidence. When you are on the stage, you will project confidence by using anecdotes, stories, examples, non-examples, role plays, scenarios, whatever. You will illustrate your point. And finally, satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from a great conclusion. When they step off the stage, when you step off the stage, they should know what you spoke to them. They should remember the one message that you were trying to convey. Does that make sense, everyone? Every successful speech has 3 parts to it. Can you read this? Anyone? Ethos, logos, pathos. How many of you know what it means? Show of hands. Okay. Every communication is a combination of ethos, logos, and pathos. I did not come up with this. Aristotle did. So this knowledge that I'm giving you is 2,500 years old at least. Give or take a couple of hundred years here or there. My history is not that good. But at least 2,000 years old. Ethos is the integrity that you bring to your speech. It is the integrity. For example, APJ Abdul Kalam talking about rocket science. We're talking about principles in life. We're talking about work ethic, not about rocket science, sorry. Because rocket science is logos, that is the logic, the expertise that you bring to the field. Logos is the expertise. APJ Abdul Kalam talking about rocket science, missiles. The third one is where our Prime Minister scores pathos, passion, the kind of feelings that you arouse in people, the kind of feelings that your speech will arouse. Successful speeches, TED Talk speakers, successful speakers, Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, Bill Clinton, Steve Jobs, all of them use pathos. Your speech needs to have at least 60% pathos for it to succeed, especially in an international speech contest, because it was earlier known as the inspirational speech contest. You're going there to inspire people. Inspiration will happen with 60% pathos. Remember pathos. Okay? Then, okay, audience member. So audience, if I'm coming to the stage, as an audience member, I'm going to ask you, what are you going to talk about? Not verbally, of course. Why should I listen to you? What was that again? So I will not remember. How many of you go to religious places such as mandirs and mosques and gurudwaras? How many of you listen to religious discourses? Wherever you live or listen to religious discourses, notice one thing. There is a phrase that is often uttered. In a mosque, that phrase will be Allahu Akbar. God is good.